Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Dennis coming from Winnipeg. I hope that you have a restful Saturday so far and being able to recharge and re energize and relax a little bit. Today, I wanted to talk about, people or even functional medicine. I think it's from our point of view, it's the same thing. Uh, there's a saying that you cannot judge the book by the cover. You have to really read the book so that you understand or know the story. The same thing. A lot of time we looked at somebody how they respond or how they react, and then we assume that their personality or we assume that we know them and we make the judgment on them. And you can't really do that. And it's the same thing in health and wellness. A lot of time traditionally, you have a health condition and then you go see the practitioner, and traditional practitioner will say, okay, if you have a sleep disorder, I'll give you a sleeping pill. If you have a heart condition, I'll give you a medication for the heart. If you have mood disorder, I'm going to give you antidepressant, etc. And what's happening there is that we're just based on the symptoms that we're treating. And the same thing that if you judge somebody without really knowing their story, you're doing the same thing. You're just treating the symptoms, or you're assuming you know it all. And I'm bringing this up because last week I've been working in the dispensary covering a vacation for one of my pharmacist colleagues, and I had a chance and opportunity to talk to a few people out front as they, asking me questions about supplement vitamins and their medication. And a couple of patients that story I wanted to share. One was a 25-year-old gentleman that came in for a prescription, and he got a antidepressant for like first time. So I'm talking to him about how it's gonna work, what it's supposed to do, when to take it, how to take it, and what kind of potential side effects, if there's any, to watch for. And then I continue on talking to him and saying that if you want this medication work better, you may want to make sure that you're eating enough protein and you need eating enough green vegetables. And he looked at me like, protein and vegetable, what has got to do with my mood disorder? And so I trying to explain it to him that the medication is gonna trying to improve the brain chemical by slowing down or blocking the elimination of these brain chemical. But if you don't have enough brain chemical that your body is making, doesn't matter how much medication you use to block the elimination, you may not get that increased level of brain chemical. So what you should do is that eating more protein and vegetables, the proteins are building block for your body to make these brain chemical, and vegetable has lots of B complex, which is a cofactor for your body enzyme to make brain chemical using the protein. So if there is no production, doesn't matter how much, like I use the analogy of building the water dam. If there is no water and the stream is totally dry, there is no point of building the dam to increase the water level because there's no water coming down the stream at all. So you have to put some water, at least there gotta be a little bit of water so that the dam can then, build up the water level. The same idea, the antidepressants, it's like a dam that trying to, slow down the elimination of the brain chemical that your body is producing, even though it's not enough. But if there is no production, quote unquote, then doesn't matter, these medications not going to work. So you need to then help from the other side, from the food side, then make sure that you drink, you eat enough protein and vegetables so that your body can use those to make brain chemical. And the same, the same thing. I talked to another patient that came in because she came in to ask for colloidal silver because she said her sister told her that she should nebulize the colloidal silver for her asthma attack and has asthma flare up. So I started talking to her and I said, from my point of view, I haven't heard of it. I may be ignorant that I don't know about it. So I said I don't know if that's the usage. I know other uses for colloidal silver, but for asthma attack, I'm not really sure that's one of the usage. It may work, I don't know, but because the colloidal silver, I just wanted to make sure that that is what she needs. But then from my point of view, is she's just treating the symptom. So I started talking to her and I said, there may be other things causing the asthma attack, because I know that asthma is immune disorder and immune reaction to something. So I started talking to her and saying, when did you start getting asthma? Because she said any of the medication, prescription medication, inhaler, none of them worked at all. So I asked her and I said, have you seen any other specialist or integrated practitioner? And she said, yeah, she's seen a couple of integrated practitioners in last 3 years and nothing works. So I said, okay, when did your asthma started? Did you have asthma since you were little? And she said, no, 3 years ago. Out of the blue, asthma started. So I looked at her and I said, what happened 3 years ago? And she looked at me, stunned, and I said, no, what happened 3 years ago? There's something happened. And she looked at me and seriously, and she said, 3 years ago, I fell off the horse when I was doing horseback riding, and I got really injured. And after that, I started getting all these allergic reaction and asthma. And I said, that injury from falling off the horse is causing you underlying chronic stress, and now it's affecting your immune system. And I said, we should look at that rather than just treating the symptom. And she started crying. She said, nobody knew how her asthma started, and she said, I'm the only one that listened to her in last 3 years. And she started crying. And that's the thing. She said everybody think that she's crazy, and she's eating stuff that she's not supposed to eat, and that's why she's having these asthma attack, or she's using certain chemical or makeup that she's not supposed to use, and everybody's not listening to her and just telling her what to do. And she said, I'm the first one in 3 years that listened to her. And she started crying, and she said, okay, I'm gonna do what you tell me to do. So I suggested a couple of supplements, etc. So what I'm trying to share is that the life and health, the same thing. You cannot judge people by looking at the cover, so you have to give the benefit of the doubt, and you gotta be kind to them. The same thing in health and wellness, that you cannot just jump on and tell patient that this is what's happening, and you're gonna suggest something because they say, oh, I can't breathe. You can just say, okay, use the inhaler. Why? Yeah, if they're having attack and you need to acute treatment, great. And then after that, don't let them go. You gotta talk to them, ask them what happened, what triggered it, and find out what's the root cause of it says. Find out the underlying story. So I hope that this is give you something to think about. I'm sorry this is a little bit longer live that I'm doing it, but from my point of view, is life and health is the same thing. We judge people too quickly, either day-to-day life, or even working with them, trying to treat their health condition. We just make the judgment call so quickly without knowing the underlying causes and root causes. So I've learned it over the last 15 years getting training in integrated and functional medicine, and also from learning from my brothers and sisters and my parents about life, that you cannot make a quick judgment. So I hope that this is helpful. And again, I would say that be kind to everybody. Treat them the way you want it to be treated. I hope you have a great weekend.